Hello everyone, and welcome back to the S5 lesson. As you recall, the topic that we were doing is industry, and today we're going to look at the second subtopic in the series, and this is industry as a system. Okay, so industry as a system. As you may recall from topics you've done in S3 about industry and the agriculture topic that you just finished, you will know that a system has three components: input, process, output. So industry is not different. It also has the three components. So for input, it's everything that goes into the system. Now, input in an industrial system can be divided into two categories. We've got the human input, and then we've got the physical input. So for the human input, this can be labor, capital, so capital is money, or skills, so the skills that people have, that people need in order to work in the industry. And then for physical input, these are natural things, such as the raw materials, water, land, anything natural. When we come to the process, it's what goes on in the system, what goes on in those factories. Okay, so what happens to those raw material that is put into the system. So some processes can be processing, weaving, assembling, anything that goes on in a factory. And finally, we've got output, what goes out. So what are the finished products or goods that a factory produces? We also have money, and obviously, don't forget, we also have waste. So there are things that won't go to the market, but it is waste. It is also an output in the industrial system. So, like I've said before, this is something that you did in S3, so it's nothing new. Now let's see if we can look at an industrial system of a factory in Seychelles. So we're going to look at the IoT factory, which you are all familiar with. So we are going to look at the input of IoT factory. What does it need in order for it to work, for it to function? So for human input, capital, money. Obviously, if you want to start a business, you need to have money. Okay, labor. So IoT is a factory that needs a lot of people to work. So labor is an important input. The third one is skills. So IoT will need skillful labor in order to work in the factory. When we talk about physical input, we need land, obviously, to build the factory. We need water for washing of fish and cooling down of different machines in the factory. And obviously, its main input will be fish. The second one is the process. So everything that goes on in the factory. So everything that happens to the fish once it comes to the factory. So we're talking about cleaning of the fish, boiling it, canning it, packaging, labeling, everything that goes on in the factory. And of course, the output is the product of the factory, where we've got canned tuna. We also have capital, so obviously the factory needs to make money. And finally, we've got waste product. So waste product can also be turned into new products that can be sold. For example, the leftover fish can be turned into animal food that you can feed your pets. So waste products are not always discarded, but it can be turned into new products for other purposes. Okay, so this is an activity that you can do at home, and you can check with your teachers whether you are on the right track. So the activity that you can do is you can draw an industrial system for a primary industry, for a secondary industry, and for a tertiary industry. So when you do that, you ensure that you put the input and you divide it into human and physical input, the process, and the output. Okay, so you can give that to your teacher for them to correct. So remember, primary industry, they extract raw materials from land and sea. So you can go for industries such as the fishing industry, a farming industry, the mining industry. For secondary industry, choose any factory that you want, but you can use examples from the Seychelles, that will be good. And then a tertiary industry, they are service industries like tourism, education, and health. So you can put the input, what they need, the process, what goes on, and then finally output, what product do we get from those industry at the end. Okay, so let's just recap what we've learned about industry as a system. And what we are going to do, a little activity, and we will see whether we will be able to categorize those different factors that we've put at the top. So we'll start with labor. Is that an input, a process, or an output? Okay, so if you said input, very good. Labor falls under input in the industrial system. The second one is medicine. So do you think medicine falls under input, process, or output? Okay, if you've said output, very good, because medicine is the finished product in a factory. The next one is printing. So printing is a process. So if you put process, very good. Next one is dyeing. This is we're talking about dyeing cloth to turn them into clothes. So if you put process, very good. Next one, power. Power, we're talking about electricity. So if you put input, very good again. Next one, packaging. So this is a process. Water. So water is an input. Then we've got cars. So cars are output, so they are final products. If you put it in output, very good. Soft drinks. So for soft drinks, this is a final product. We're talking about the lemonades that you shouldn't be drinking at home. And then we've got land. So this is an input. Fans, output. And finally, assembling. And this will fall under process. So if you've put it like that, very good. Now, we have come to the end of the second lesson in the series, and I hope you will join me next time for us to continue looking into the industry as a topic. Thank you.